It sounds like you've made it, like you've crossed some invisible finish line where you can finally breathe and stop worrying about money forever. But here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wants to say out loud. $2 million invested conservatively generates about $80,000 a year. After taxes, that drops to around $64,000 take home. That's not private jet money. That's not even quit your job and travel the world money for most people. It's a middle class income that you didn't have to work for. The number everyone spends 30 years chasing produces the same annual income as a mid level corporate job. Once you understand the difference between wealth and income, between the number itself and what that number actually produces, everything about how you build money changes. They think if they can just hit a million, or 2 million or 5 million, they'll finally be rich. They'll finally be free. Rich is a feeling, not a balance sheet. And that feeling doesn't come from the account total. It comes from never having to think about money again. It comes from money showing up every single month, whether you're awake or asleep. The mental model we've all been taught is broken. We've been programmed to worship net worth without understanding what net worth actually does. A millionaire who still needs a salary to pay bills isn't financially free. Ached. They're just someone with a good retirement account. Meanwhile, someone with $400,000 generating $3,000 a month in passive income might be living more freely than someone with 10 times that amount sitting idle. First, the real math behind what $2 million actually buys you. Then, why the income your money generates matters infinitely more than the total itself. After that, how to reverse engineer the life you want by starting with monthly expenses. And finally, the one shift in thinking that separates people who feel rich from people who just look rich on paper. Somewhere along the way, society decided that millionaire was the magic word. It became cultural shorthand for success. And if 1 million was good, then 2 million was better. Because here's the part. The retirement industry doesn't advertise. $2 million doesn't mean you're rich. It means you have $2 million. What matters is what that money produces. Let's do the math everyone ignores. There's something called the 4% rule. It says you can safely withdraw 4% of your portfolio every year without running out of money over a 30-year retirement. So you take your $2 million and multiply it by 4%. That's $80,000 a year. Now subtract taxes. Let's assume a 20% effective tax rate. That leaves you with $64,000 a year, about $5,300 a month. If you live in San Francisco, $5,300 a month barely covers rent and groceries. If you live in Manhattan, you're one unexpected expense away from anxiety. But if you live in Tennessee or Ohio, $5, $300 a month might actually be comfortable. This is what a mid-level corporate employee makes while still working. You just spent 30 years maxing out your 401eng. Living below your means, staying disciplined, so you could arrive at retirement with the same income as someone in middle management. Imagine you're 55 years old. You've done everything right. You check your portfolio and see $2.1 million. Feel proud. But then you sit down with a financial planner who tells you that based on safe withdrawal strategies, you can take out about $84,000 a year. Your mortgage is $2,800 a month. Healthcare is $2,200. Property taxes, car payment, utilities, groceries. You do the math and realize you're about $30,000 short of truly comfortable. The goalposts move. I guess I actually need 3 million. The treadmill never stops because you were solving for the wrong variable. The problem is that you were chasing a vanity metric. Net worth is a scorecard that makes you feel good at dinner parties, but it doesn't change your daily reality. What changes your reality is income you don't have to work for. Monthly cash flow that hits count whether you're awake or asleep. That's the actual prize. Now, here's where it gets interesting. What if, instead of chasing a big one-time number, you built a smaller number that paid you every single month? Instead of asking, how much do I need to retire? Ask a different question. How much do I need per month? Because that's how you actually live. Your bills come monthly. Your relief comes monthly. Your freedom will feel monthly. What if your goal wasn't $2 million in an index fund, but $4,000 a month in passive income? $4,000 a month is $48,000 a year. To generate $48,000 in a year at a 6% yield, which is conservative for dividend stocks or rental properties. You need about $800,000 invested, not $2 million. $800,000. Suddenly the goal isn't some distant summit. It's a hillside you can actually see from here. In 80% of US cities, $4,000 covers your rent or mortgage. It covers utilities, groceries, car insurance, phone bill. You're not living large, but you're not panicking about making rent. Now add a part-time passion project that brings in $2,000 a month. Something you actually enjoy. Consulting a few hours a week, freelance writing, teaching an online course. Now you're at $6,000 a month. And here's the part that rewires your brain. You're not retired. You're optionally employed. The work you do is a choice, not a survival mechanism. If your client is a nightmare, fire them. If you want to take 3 months off, you can, because your baseline expenses are covered. That's what financial freedom actually feels like. You wake up on a Tuesday and check your phone. 3 dividend payments hit overnight, $287, $340, and $156. Your duplex tenant's rent deposited yesterday, in $850. It's the 5th of the month and you've already collected $2,633 without answering a single email. Baseline expenses are $3,400 a month. You're 77% of the way to never needing a boss again. You're not dreading work today because you have to go. You're going because the project is interesting. The desperation is gone. That's what $2,600 a month in passive income does. It doesn't make you rich. It makes you calm. When you're building income streams, you see progress every single month. Add 1 dividend stock, and next month you see an extra $40. You close on a rental property, and suddenly $2,200 deposits on the first like clockwork. You're not filling a bucket, you're building a machine. And every month, you can see the machine working better. The financial industry doesn't want you thinking this way. They want you obsessed with account balances because that's how they charge fees. But when you shift to income-first thinking, the entire game changes. You stop caring about market swings because your dividends still deposit. You stop obsessing over net worth because monthly cash flow is what's feeding you. Here's where most people get it backwards. They assume they need to maintain their exact current lifestyle forever. But if you're honest, a huge chunk of your spending is tied to coping with a job that's draining you $200 a month on takeout because you're too exhausted to cook. $600 on therapy and gym memberships to manage stress from a career you didn't choose. That's not your real cost of living. That's the cost of being trapped. What do you actually need per month to live comfortably? Start with non-negotiables: rent, utilities, groceries, health insurance, transportation. For most people, that's $2,500 to $4,000 a month. Add a 20% buffer for things that make life worth living: a dinner out once a week, a weekend trip every few months. Hobbies. For most people, that brings the total to $3,000 to $5,000 a month. That's your freedom number. If you invest $2,000 a month at an 8% return, you'll have $1 million in about 20 years. Add reinvested dividends and 1 rental property, and you're looking at 12 to 15 years to Tier 2 freedom. Now, before you think this sounds too slow or too boring, here's the part most people never hear about. There's one psychological shift that happens around month 18 of building passive income that changes everything. And once it clicks, you'll never chase get-rich-quick schemes again. They start building. Month 6 hits and they see $340. $340 for 6 months of effort, and they think this is pointless. So they bail and go back to searching for shortcuts. But here's what they miss. Humans are wired for linear thinking. We assume $340 in month 6 means another $340 in month 12. But compound growth isn't linear. It's exponential. The first $100 a month feels insignificant. The first $1,000 a month still doesn't feel life-changing. But $1,000 a month is where the acceleration begins. Because now you have $1,000 you can reinvest. Picture this, it's 22 months in. You started with $60,000 invested and 1 rental property. Month 1, you made $340 total. You felt stupid, but you kept going. Added $1,000 a month. Reinvested every dividend. Month 22, you check your spreadsheet. $1,847 deposited this month. You didn't work a single extra hour for it. That's $22,000 a year. Heck, that's a used car every year, forever. Or a mortgage payment, or health insurance and groceries combined. The number isn't huge yet, but the feeling is undeniable. For the first time in your adult life, money showed up without you, trading hours for it. Stop celebrating the dollar amount. Celebrate the system. Track income streams added, not net worth. I added my fourth dividend stock. I closed on my second rental property. Visualize month 36, not month 6. Reframe boredom as reliability. Boring means predictable. Predictable means safe. Here's the truth most gurus won't tell you. Wealth is built in silence. It's built by people who set up the system once, let it run, and check back in 5 years. They're just waiting. And that waiting pays better than any side hustle ever will. Most people who hit $4,000 or $5,000 a month still work, but the quality of their work changes completely. They stop grinding at jobs they hate. They stop tolerating toxic managers. They start companies that might fail because failure won't destroy them. They take creative risks. They say what they actually think in meetings because getting fired isn't the catastrophe it used to be, because the income flowing in every month isn't tied to their compliance. You don't need to be a millionaire to feel rich. You need to be unnecessary to your own income. That's the shift. That's the entire game. When that ratio hits 7, your entire nervous system changes. When it hits 1.0, you're free. And here's what that freedom feels like. You stop checking your salary like it's life support. Say no to draining projects without guilt. You take a random Tuesday off because the weather's nice. The relief isn't euphoric. It's quiet. It's the absence of panic. It's waking up and realizing you haven't thought about money in 3 days. That's what passive income gives you, not celebration. Just calm $2 million is just one path to generating $6,000 to $8,000 a month. But it's not the only path. $800,000 in dividend stocks can generate $4,000 a month. 3 rental properties can generate $3,500 a month. A $600,000 portfolio plus a small business doing $2,000 a month gets you to $5,000. The number is irrelevant. The only thing that matters is how much money hits your account every month without you having to show up. What $2 million in a savings account earning 0.5% is a prison. But $400 Olzu in dividend assets generating $2,000 a month. That's a foundation. Add the $100 from a part-time passion project, and you're at $30,500 a month. That's enough to live comfortably in most of America. Most people don't want a yacht. They want to stop feeling afraid. They don't want a mansion. They want to stop dreading Mondays. And you don't need $2 million for that. Everyone thinks $2 million is rich. They see that number and imagine freedom. Imagine security. Imagine never worrying about money again. You're 62 years old. You spent 40 years doing work you didn't love, for people you didn't respect, building wealth you were too afraid to enjoy. You finally hit the number. You check your account, see 7 figures, and feel nothing because the financial advisor tells you that $2 million generates $80,000 a year. After taxes, that's $64,000. And you're still running the same calculations you ran when you were 30. Still budgeting, still worrying, still feeling like one bad market crash could ruin everything. You didn't buy freedom. You bought a different kind of anxiety. You're 45 years old. You don't have $2 million. You have $650,000 spread across dividend stocks and 2 rental properties. But every single month, without fail, $4,200 deposits into your account. You didn't work for it. You didn't trade hours for it. It just appears. Your expenses are $4,500 a month. You pick up a consulting gig, something you actually enjoy, that brings in $1,500 a month working 12 hours a week. You're not grinding, you're choosing. And that choice changes everything. Wake up on a Wednesday and realize you forgot to check your bank account for 3 weeks because you don't need to anymore. The money comes. The bills get paid, and somewhere in the background, quietly, without drama or celebration, you became financially free. Not because you hit some arbitrary number, but because you built a system that doesn't need you. Society worships the millionaire. But nobody talks about the person with $800,000 generating $4,000 a month who quit their corporate job at 42, moved to a smaller city, and spends their mornings writing a novel that might never get published because they can afford to fail. Nobody talks about the couple with $1.1 million in dividend portfolios pulling $500 a month who homeschool their kids and travel 6 months a year, not because they're Instagram influencers, but because their expenses are covered and their time is theirs. Nobody talks about the 50-year-old with 3 paid-off rental properties generating $3,800 a month who works part-time at a bookstore for $1, $200 a month because they like the owner and the employee discount, not because they need the money. These people don't have $2 million, but they're richer than most people who do. The game isn't about accumulation. It's about liberation. And liberation doesn't come from a number in an account. It comes from waking up and realizing that whether you work today or not, the money still shows up. The bills still get paid. Your life still moves forward. That realization, that quiet, undramatic realization, is worth more than any amount you could ever accumulate. Start building $3,000 a month, then $4,000, then $5,000. Build it slowly. Build it boringly. Build it in a way that nobody will make a Netflix documentary about. And one day, maybe 5 hours from now, maybe 12, you'll wake up and check your phone and see that $600 deposited this month from dividends, rent, and interest. And you'll realize you don't need a job anymore. Not because you're rich, but because you're free. And free, it turns out, is what you were chasing the whole time. You just didn't know it had a different price tag.